Well, I never noticed until right now, but your video from last night, Lauren and I talking on the way back to Northfield Park and going over the races. I didn't realize it didn't load until right now. There was really no need of a video this morning. There's not a whole lot going on at the barn. I'm on my way in early because I was up early. I don't think there's a whole lot of horses to train. We've trained everything Thursday, Friday in preparation for next week. In some cases, a couple of horses in different paths. Are we going to go qualify Tuesday at the Meadows? So you guys know, anybody that follows us knows how chaotic our life is right now. Amy is in Ontario with Ollie practicing and playing baseball. He's got an all-star team tryout this weekend. He wanted to play on it, and of course we didn't have much to do, so why not? And Ava was invited to a birthday party here in Ohio. So the birthday party is on Wednesday morning. Her and some of her friends are going to an amusement park. So how could I facilitate all of that? You guys know today I'm at the Meadows, although tonight I'm not anywhere. But tomorrow night are the Phillies, right? Big deal. How would I be able to do that? And then I thought about it, and I said, there's only two options I can see if she's going to make her Wednesday birthday party. Because I'm racing all day Monday. Sunday night, Monday night, big night also. Gorgeous package them. All the Buckeye Phillies are in Pennsylvania, so are in Ohio at Northfield. So it's either drive to Ontario and drive right back, which I'll do. But is there a better way? And I thought about it. I said, well, I wonder, Ava could come to Ohio with Billy Davis. I never thought about it until Ava herself said, I don't really know if I want to go 4.5 hours with somebody I don't know that well past the border. And as she said border, it dawned on me, I wonder what would have happened if Billy had showed up at a federal border with a 13-year-old girl that is not related to him. I wonder how that would have went over. Part of me wanted to see, but that was the evil part of me. I thought about it a little more, and I'm like, you know what, honey, you're right. I'll come home Tuesday right after the qualifiers. I'll head home. And now, as I say it out loud, I guess that's not my only option. I could leave today right after the Meadows, go back to Ontario for tonight, watch. Now, you know what? I'll put this caveat on it. If all these tryouts are tomorrow afternoon, it still doesn't matter because I'm in the second race at Northfield, so it's not feasible. It's the exact same if I go home Tuesday, if I go home today. Same amount of time off. The only difference is if I go home Tuesday after the Pennsylvania qualifiers, I get to see all these baseball games. It'll be much like 10 days ago where I drove all the way home from the fair to watch all these games, only to drive all the way back to Northfield Park. And that's exactly what I'm going to have to do on Tuesday. But you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I've made my mind up. Gotcha, fly. Tuesday after the qualifiers at the Meadows, I'm going to get in my car, drive all the way back to Ontario. I have to leave by, 5-hour drive. Have to leave by 12:30, 1:45 to get me there for first pitch for Ollie's game. As soon as the game's over, Ava can jump in the car and we'll go back to Northfield. That's what I'm going to do on Tuesday. I've made my mind up. I was sitting in the car. There you go. Sometimes you just got to talk it through. I was sitting in my car ready to leave and realizing I didn't really need to do a video this morning. But then understanding also that I'm kind of deflecting away from how important today is. Many of you may not have paid attention. Time is on my side. This is a prep race for the Adios next week. Maybe would like to have 2 races into them, but that's just me being a stickler. I think the timing is pretty good. If he goes out and goes a good mile today, doesn't have to go out and win in 49 or 50. Just go out and put a good showing on. Then he'll likely be going to the Adios next Saturday. I know Rob and a number of our clients are lobbying hard for Arson to come back up. Well, here's my take on the Arson situation. I'm going to continue to defer to Scotty. The only difference is Arson will have raced last week and this week. Then he'll get in a truck and ship all the way to the Meadows to race 6 days later in a race against Grand Circuit horses. Now, I also think it's worth noting that Arson, none of the horses he's racing against in Oak Grove would be considered top 20 horses. So you're asking a horse that in all truthfulness is likely a Stallion Series colt to race. Now, if he goes out and races a monster mile, because last week was a big mile, Scotty was impressed. He goes out and races a monster mile in the final, and Scott says, he could go to the Adios, then we'll entertain it. But as of right now, I'm going to defer to him on this because it's a lot on the line, right? And I'm not talking about the Adios. I'm talking about a nice horse's entire season. You can't just continue to race and race and race and race and race, because if you look at his schedule, it's Sunday, then the Adios elimination, then the Adios final, and then 7 days later, Kentucky Sire Stakes start. Now, as I say that, oh, it's on my phone. It's not on my computer. This is all doable, but it's all contingent on how the horses race. And this is very pivotal, right? Because what Rob and a number of our clients are looking at is this particular horse, this particular race only. But you have to look at how it settles into the whole schedule. Regardless of how Arson does on Sunday, he's a 10 to 15 to 1 shot in any elimination of the Adios. That's just the way it is. And I know that right there is the issue, is that some of us believe that Arson, because he won him 150 at Philadelphia and he won him 150 at Oak Grove, that he is a legit Adios contender. What you don't realize is every single horse that's going to go to the Adios, for the most part, has done the exact same thing. And I would say some of them have raced against even better horses, right? You might want to look at the nominations for the Adios. Now, I don't know the schedule for a Nijinsky that's racing in the Meadowlands Pace, probably the favorite tonight. I don't know the schedule for those types of horses. But he's not Nijinsky, right? Neither is Time Is On My Side. The only reason that I'm kind of rubber stamping Time Is On My Side is because he does not have other staking other than Pennsylvania. Right? He's got a lot of staking kind of peppered throughout his schedule. But the Adios and the Little Brown Jug are obviously the two biggest ones. And also worth noting, before we even start talking about the Little Brown Jug and how Arson would be great suited for a half-mile track and wouldn't it be great to see him there, it is worth noting that the Kentucky final is 4 days, I think, before the Little Brown Jug, so you can't race them both. So you either race in the wherever we decide to race them, and I'm again, just to throw a little more fuel on the fire, Arson's not racing in the A division in Kentucky. There's no shot he's going to race in the B or C division, and last year he raced in the C division, so that's also worth noting. So this isn't me saying, hey, you got to wake up and pay attention. No, I'm not saying that any of this is out of the realm of possibility. What I am saying is you have to look at the entire schedule, what makes sense for our horse, and the best path forward for him. And if that can or will include the Adios, then by all means he will be there next Saturday. And the only thing I don't want to see is a rather flat mile from Time Is On My Side today. That puts me in a tough spot. So one of these situations where I think the timing is perfect. Having said that, one additional race may have been beneficial, but I don't think a necessity at this point. So that's where we're at with the horses today. A big day today, right? We have Blue Ventura, Kings County also. We have Dominion racing tonight. He's in the sale on Monday. Big race for him, big race for us. And then we also have probably one of the best horses we have right now in Tactical Mounts. I had a very good, very long conversation with Scotty last night too. On the way home, we were talking about the horses last night. He seemed impressed by the way our Arrowhead raced. We had talked about the race. He got to see a lot of those colts before yesterday, and I did not, other than the line. Right, you see a 2-year-old line, that's one thing, but to understand what the horse looked like, sure, I could pour over videos like a gambler, but realistically, I'm going to go out and race my horse. Right? I know what my horse, I think, can do, and as I said yesterday, he grossly exceeded my expectations. So Scotty was telling me about this horse, and I said, I like this horse. Scotty always remembers, same as Mark, Like, good drivers always do that. They'll watch a race, they'll pick out the horses that look good, and they'll remember them. I remember a long time ago, I was racing a lazy horse at Mohawk. His name was Panda Bear. And Tim Tetrick got away in behind me. And Panda was like, he could go, but he was lazy. He had to work him and work him and work him. And getting into the last turn, I'm chasing him because in the turns he was a little bit softer. And Tim Tetrick popped out of the 2-hole before midway part of the last turn, and he got to my bridle, and I was working on Panda pretty good, and he never got me headed till the head of the lane, and Panda fought him off and won by 3/4 of a length. They were pulling up, and Timmy goes, "Panda Bear, eh? I'll remember that horse." And I just remember how he said it, and it just dawned on me that it's the same type of thing that I watch Mark do all the time, and you have to know who you're racing against, and I know all the horses I'm racing against for the most part, but to understand the finer points of each and every horse just shows how much goes into their game, right? The understanding and the level of expertise that they bring to the track. So Scotty was talking about the horses, and he said, "Hey, watch out for this one, watch out for that one. You're in." He said, take nothing away from your colt, but it looks like you're in the softest division, so good luck or whatever." And then for Arrowhead Hanover to go out and race the way he did, he was shocked too. It was the fastest division, but the other two horses are great. He said Jim Campbell's horse, very, very nice horse. The other horse that made a break, I think Burke's horse that made a break. These are all the tough division. And if you would have asked me right before we went on the track with Arrowhead Hanover last night, what do you think? Truthfully speaking, my answer to you might have been, I'm in the wrong classification. I think I should be in the Stallion Series. That, honest to God, that might have been what I would say to you, which is obviously wrong. Now, when you look at Arrowhead Hanover, I'm not going to say, "Oh, he's the best horse in Pennsylvania," but he's a very, very good horse, and even I did not think he was that kind of horse before last night's race. Well, one thing I said to Scotty was, I don't know how good he is, but he's handy, and that's the type of horse I want, right? I want the one that you can leave, sit, drive him like as I said to you, drive him like an aged horse. If I want to stretch, Braxton Boyd a little bit, I can. And I'm sure, as sure as I'm sitting here in this car right now, if I had got to the outside in the last turn, I think I beat Braxton's horse last night with Arrowhead. It just, when we got to the head of the lane, he had just come back to me a little bit, and I had to stop him and drive him into the passing lane. If I didn't have to stop him, and I could just use his momentum and come to the outside and attack, I'm sure I'm a winner last night, and that is a massive statement. And I don't think it's wrong. I think if you watch the race, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Horse raced incredibly good. Which got me to thinking, I'm going to do my 2-year-old videos today, but I was trying to think of horses that either were as good or exceeded our expectations. Now, obviously, I can't talk about Captain Incredible. He hasn't raced yet. Can't talk about Atrant, the 2 Illinois horses who trained fantastic yesterday. Can't talk about them. But I will talk about some of them, right? And this is just, I guess, to put a little more pep in my step on a Saturday also. A Saturday where there's not a ton of stuff on the line today, except for maybe Tactical Mounds, but still a big day, one that I don't want to take for granted as I head into this afternoon's races. I'd be remiss if I didn't start with, obviously, Arrowhead Hanover. This horse, we only staked him in Pennsylvania, much like Austral Hanover as a 2-year-old, right? We liked him, thought he was okay. After he started racing, before he started racing, I thought he was a horrible little animal, and ended up being one of my favorite horses to drive in recent memory. So a similar situation, the only difference is Arrowhead Hanover is infinitely better than Austral Hanover ever was, and that is an interesting tidbit. I know I'll look at his staking, like I think the Keystone Classic is his last stake. We certainly didn't pay him into the Breeders' Crown or anything like that, but man, what a good looking mile last night. As I said, I won't talk about Atrant. I think this filly is a very, very good horse, one that is grossly underestimated by a lot of people, and you guys are going to see what I'm talking about, I believe, when she gets to Kentucky. Aunt Lily, we all liked her, but in the middle of spring, this isn't one of those cases where I want everybody to pay attention to what went on in the spring, right? Lots of shares of Aunt Lily moving around. She looked like a big slob and couldn't do her work right, and I told everybody, just let the horse take shape. right? The process of training down babies is very unique and very cool. I guess it's not unique. I guess if you were watching a kid learn how to play baseball or hockey or football or basketball, had talent, but you don't know where that talent will bring them, because truthfully speaking, their work ethic and their attitude towards the game is what will allow them to exceed expectations, right? And the other side of that is, if they have a bad attitude and a poor work ethic, they're never going to reach their full potential. So you look at a horse like Aunt Lily, who's kind of a nasty bugger in the barn. She'd take a round at it if you weren't paying attention. But on the track, you could always see there was signs, and then you fall back onto her gigantic body, her good breeding, and she's got that edge. And if she wanted to turn that corner, she could be a good horse. And right around May, we realized she was turning that corner and looked amazing. A lot of horses in here you can't really talk about because they haven't got there yet, right? Blue Ventura, nice horse, probably a Stallion Series horse, is a Stallion Series horse, but a nice horse. Cadeau, good account of himself last night as he's growing up and being a much more mature horse. Trained great yesterday. We're not going to talk about Captain Incredible. Century Legion, I thought, raced okay last night, scratching the surface from what we saw at the qualifiers. So how do we get that horse back? We made some changes. I think he wasn't as bumpy last night, but he wasn't super effective either. How do we find a better Century Legion? Work. That's how we do it. Chicago Hall, I think from day one, this is a horse that was near or around the top of my list. Just with his gait, his attitude, and again, his breeding to fall back on. I just thought he was an incredibly nice horse. And I think, another great conversation with Scotty was about Lasix, right, on 2-year-olds. And I think it's still taboo in a lot of circles, so I think you may see a trickle of blood 2 or maybe 3 times. I've done it myself. And say to yourself, well, we changed the way we approach the race, I think we'll be okay. But then you don't realize the heat, the allergies, this time of the year, how hard it can be on some of them. And when I look at a very similar body type of Chicago Hall and 3-Point Blue Chip, and how much I wish we had to put him on Lasix 3 starts into his career, but didn't. The decision to put him on Lasix was easy after that. Country Dancing wasn't great the other day, but was very good in her first 2 starts. I think it's just a matter of cleaning her up. She's going to come back to Ohio quick, and Dr. Mike is going to have a look at her, and then she'll be on her way. I think the Poconos next, if I'm not mistaken. Foxy Seaside, yeah, she had talent, but is she a nice filly? First start, winner in 56. Pretty hard to step away from that. Just a really, really nice filly, and one that is quietly, now I wouldn't say flying under the radar, but one that I'm watching very, very closely. On Monday, I had a message from somebody saying, why wouldn't we just race her in the Sire Stakes? Well, I think it's important. As I said, a lot of the racing and a lot of the way we mold these horses right now is a process, right? Putting Foxy Seaside in with horses that are a little more polished, that are every bit as fast or faster, would only put her in a detrimental spot, right? She goes out and catches a soft division win, awesome. She goes out and catches a tough division and gets her neck stretched, you may not like the outcome you see, right? And this circles back to Arson also, the conversation that I had with one of our clients. Arson is one of the best horses in his division right now, but his division, I don't mean his entire division, I mean his Oak Grove division, right? That division's about to come to an end. And make no mistake, he is not going to be the big fish in a small pond for much longer. Small horse in a smaller pond. He's going to hook onto some horses that are killers, and I just don't know what happens if a horse like Arson gets beat up. And make no mistake, if you catch a Nujinski or one of those horses, he is going to get beat up, just so you know. I just don't like it when we knowingly, much like a manager of a boxer, right? When you knowingly allow your fighter to fight against somebody they likely can't beat. This isn't Rocky, right? It doesn't happen that way all the time. What happens is that guy gets his face beat in more times than not. My father, I never watched a ton of boxing growing up, but I always remember my father watching it and the references he made to, breaking a fighter's spirit. And when you get a fighter beat up in a fight he should never have been in, they have to come back to themselves and wonder, is this for me? Is this what I want to do? Am I going to put 105% in next time? And that's why I'm always skeptical about racing horses over their head. Not skeptical. I don't want to do it. Especially young horses. Now, if you have to go into a stake race and you pick up the sheet and you're just in with some tough ones, that's racing. There isn't much you can do about that. But when you knowingly put a horse or a boxer or anybody in with who they shouldn't be in with, it's not good for their mental state. So the same goes for Foxy Seaside. I'm going to protect her the same as I would protect any of her horses until we come to a point in the road where I can't protect her anymore. Now she's a big girl. She's on her own. She's going to have to do her own fighting. Freedom Hill, another very, very good filly. I think last week's defeat was my fault. Not even anybody else's. Not say, oh, it's Jason's. Oh, the filly, it was my fault. I brought her in. We had a very quick conversation about the race. Jason and they were going to train her hard, and I said, hey, it's the second division of a pop-up series. Let's just go easy. And going easy with the babies sometimes leads to them racing a little less, not reaching their expectations. And that was on me, but that hasn't happened this week. It should be plenty sharp coming into her stake race. We'll see about Mocha Latte or whatever the hell her name is on Sunday night. Maybe she's one good-looking filly, I'll tell you that. But there'll be a different Freedom Hill waiting for her at Northfield Park, I can assure you of that. Gaslight Hall, we're not going to talk about him. Again, there's a horse that has not even got to the races yet, but he's coming. Gorgeous Package, you want to talk about exceeding expectations, coming out of nowhere and overachieving. My God almighty, this is such a nice little horse. And, even money Monday night. There's no gimme. They're not going to give us money away. They're not giving the money away. They're not going to hand you a check before you go and race. But just leads you to believe that you're in the right spot with her, where you have other people picking up the catalog up the program and saying, Jesus Christ, this thing raced to the next generation, pace 54, already winning 58 at Northfield. That's what we want to see. Green Glitter hasn't been there yet, but his second in 58, Grand Slam deal, was fourth trot at 58. I wouldn't say they've exceeded any expectations. We've had high expectations for them, but they've been good. Jim Bree, same type of thing, I believe. Manhattan Money, racing good also. Melisandre, I'm going to talk about her. She might go to the schoolers on Tuesday. By might, I mean she will be schooling at the Meadows on Tuesday. I'd like to go mile 2.6 with her. She's getting close. Memento Mori, been one of our top horses from January, I think, on. The reason this video is 23 minutes long is because we have a lot of horses to talk about, right? Memento Mori, and another horse you might want to watch this week. I really don't know what she's going to do, but I have a sneaky suspicion, and that's Oh He'll Know. I think this filly's a lot better than we thought she was. Well, we'll see soon enough. Princess Dream, can't talk about her yet. Resolve Indeed, can't talk about her yet. These are two very, very good horses that are very close to getting there. Roser and AJ. Talk about expectations. We thought he was a killer, but the one thing I told everybody, other people have nice horses too, right? And Roser and AJ hasn't, I hate when they call him a J. Oh my God, I hate it. Roser and AJ hasn't let anybody down, right? Just a nice horse. Paced 54, 27-1 last night in the Stallion Series. He'll bounce around. He'll get his shot in the Sire Stakes again throughout the year, I'm sure. For right now, I'd like to collect some Stallion Series points. Aim for the consolation, and if we make it into the final, great. This is a rinse and repeat situation from years past. We want to have our horses in the best position to do the most damage. Alexander, haven't even seen her yet. You're going to see her on Monday. She trained good the other day. Rosetta, haven't really seen her yet. She was about to race and I scratched her. Then she came back with a strong schooler, and I'm glad we scratched her. AST was just high enough. Her GGT was up a bit, and I'm glad we scratched her. Her schooler was much better, Tim said. So we'll see her race this week. Westland Warrior hasn't really exceeded any expectations. In fact, he's been below. Scotty and I spent a good 5-10 minutes talking about him last night. He's in the consolation. Part of me wishes we brought him back for the Stallion Series, but that Stallion Series goes for 20. He races for 25,000, where he's 4-1. As I said to Scotty, I like this colt, but every time he ever trained good for us, he was in an aggressive attacking position. Not a soft, let's trip him out type of situation. Push him, test him. And that was my take. So the first week he was pacey. That's all been rectified. The second week, zero paciness. Tiny bit flat. Should have showed up a little stronger. Now he's in a situation where he's in with the consolation horses. Push him. And that was my take on it. So as I get to the barn here this morning, I want to pay attention to what's ahead today. I also want to reflect a little bit on how lucky we've been and how lucky it appears we are. When you look at us, somebody said, well, Anthony, you start with a lot of horses, you're going to have good ones. You're not going to have this many good ones. You might think you are, right? You think of Memento Mori, Chicago Hall, Arrowhead Hanover was a surprise last night. The pacers that we have here, the horses on their way. I think the entire stable has exceeded my expectations thus far. There's no reason to think it won't keep going. I said to somebody last night, they're like, man, you're having a great year. I said, yeah, but you don't want to exhale. You don't want to exhale and just focus on what happened yesterday or even tonight. This time of year, July, you always have to focus on tomorrow. So yeah, I'll take a couple of seconds here or there throughout the days to reflect, but not take my foot off the gas. And I think that's where we're at right now. An impressive time, an impressive group of horses, and just really, really, really excited about what's coming down the pipe into July, into August, into September, and who knows what we have as we come into October. So with that, a little piece of reflection. You guys already had a long video today. I got a ton of videos to do. This video makes my 2-year-old video a little easier. Get to talk about the 3-year-olds and how impressive they've been, the race horses, and who knows, there might be another racehorse coming to us, maybe sooner than you think. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday. This guy, I've only seen him 865 times. Thank you. Yep. Alzheimer's. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, a great weekend. I know it's been a great start to our summer, and I certainly will do everything I can do to ensure it keeps going. So take care. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you all very soon.